हरे कृष्णा। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा. So we welcome you all to the fifth day of this course, Rediscovering Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti Part 2. So we have been discussing from this book, Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, and in the eastern section, second wave, we have covered about 11 topics about Sadhana Bhakti, and today we will start. Yesterday we started the 12th topic, the Angas of Devotional Service, the 64 limbs. So we will start from where we left off yesterday. So yesterday we saw that Srila Rupa Goswami mentions that actually I am in Hari Bhakti Vilas, Srila Sanatan Goswami has mentioned lakhs of limbs, but I have just presented 64 of them, 64 of the most important limbs amongst them. And then in that we saw that the first 20 limbs act as the door to Bhakti. Door to Bhakti means you cannot enter into the realm of Bhakti without actually performing the first 20 limbs. So the first 20 limbs, of the first 20 limbs, the first 10 limbs are do's, the next 10 limbs are don'ts. Vidhi and Nisheda. So the first 10 we saw yesterday, of which the first 5 have to do with Guru. Adav, Guru Padashraya, first taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Guru. Shri Krishna Dikshadi Sikshanam, accepting Diksha and Shiksha from the Supreme Lord, from the Guru. Vishrambena Guror Seva, and there must be some reciprocation with the Guru in the form of serving him, personal service, or serving in his mission. This is all Vishrambena Guror Seva. Third, Sadhu Vartma Anuvartanam. Sadhu Vartma Anuvartanam means following the rules of scriptures as approved by the Acharyas. Then the fourth is Saddharma Pricha. Saddharma Pricha means inquiry about the real duties of life. Basically, inquiry about how I should practice the process of bhakti. This is Saddharma Pricha. The sixth is Bhogadi Tyaga Krishnasya Hetave. One should be willing to give up activities of sense gratification for the pleasure of Krishna, so that that time can be utilized in serving Krishna. Seventh, Nivaso Dwarakadavva Gangaderapi Sannidau. Willing to reside in a place that is very conducive for inspiring one's remembrance of Krishna, preferably a dham or the bank of the holy Ganga or Yamuna, like that. That is very favorable. Vyavahareshu sarveshu yavad artha anuvartita. Accepting only as much is necessary for keeping the body and soul together. Because too much accumulation will need lot of energy, and then to maintain all of that will need all the more energy, and in accumulating and in maintaining so much of mental space, mind, intelligence will all be engaged in that particular thing. So to remember Krishna will become very difficult. Hari Vasara Sammano, respecting the holy days of Ekadashi, Janmashtami, like that. Dhatri Ashwattadi Gauravam, and giving respect to the Amalaki, Ashwatta and other items which are connected to Krishna. So these 10 items we saw the other day, yesterday. Today we will start from the 11th item onwards. So first we will see briefly the 64 items, and then we will see some proofs from the Shastras which actually glorify each one of these limbs. And then we will have brief discussion about each of these items. So in this way we will cover the 64 limbs. Then Srila Rupa Goswami says, Esham atra dasha anganam bhavet prarambha rupata. preliminary bhakti should consist of these 10 limbs. One should do these 10 limbs. One should engage in these activities. Then he starts describing the next 10 limbs. That is the 11th limb is Sangatyago Vidurena Bhagavad Vimukair Janaihi. Giving up the association of those opposed to the Lord. As we saw previously, there are two kinds of unfavorable association, Stri Sangha and Krishna Abhakta. So Stri Sangha is association with the opposite sex in a way that is not permitted by the Vedic injunctions, which means engagement with the opposite sex outside marriage for the purpose of enjoyment, or within marriage being controlled by the opposite sex because of attraction, physical attraction. So that is not very favorable for living a life of Krishna consciousness. And the second type of Asadhu Sangha is associating with Mayavadis, atheists, Dharmadvajis, those who are pretenders. All this is amply available. In essence, actually in today's day and age, no one has sufficient time and interest to personally interact with people. People are all over the world interacting only virtually through their gadgets. And this has all the more been aggravated by this whole corona thing. And but in one sense it may be good, because maybe due to overindulgence with their gadgets, maybe over a period of time people will get little bored, and maybe people might be looking for some personal association with other people. So within our hands or within our pocket we have all this association available. So we have to be very careful as to how we utilize them, because it will take us away from Krishna. Sangatyago Vidurena Bhagavad Vimukair Janaihi. Actually, a sincere sadhaka is identified by 4 symptoms. Ishvare Prema Tad Adineshu Maitri Balisheshu Kripa and Dvishatsu Upeksha. This we discussed the other day also. Ishvare Prema. Gradually, day by day, month by month, year by year, his attraction to Krishna will increase. Of course, to evaluate this is very difficult. How do we evaluate this? He says, don't worry, this one factor, even though cannot be directly evaluated, the 3 other factors can be evaluated. If those 3 factors are increasing, then your 4th factor, which is your attraction to Krishna, is also naturally increasing. What are the other 3? Tad Adineshu Maitri. How we are getting attracted to the association of devotees. How much are we feeling that the association of devotees is indispensable for my progress in devotional service? How much are we hankering for establishing friendships with devotees? This eagerness is a symptom of a progressing devotee. Balisheshu Kripa. The 3rd symptom is that how much are we feeling distressed and compassionate seeing other people who are not accepting the path of bhakti and who are thus suffering in this material world. It may be a rich person, it may be a poor person. So if he is poor, means bereft of Krishna consciousness, bereft of bhakti. So if he is bereft of bhakti, how much are we feeling compassionate towards such people, and how much we want to share the wealth of Krishna bhakti with them? That is the 3rd symptom. And the 4th symptom is Dvishatsu Upeksha. How carefully are we avoiding non-Krishna conscious association? That kind of association which will carry us away from remembrance of Krishna. So These four factors the acharyas mentioned parallelly rise when a devotee is progressing. So um, if we are not able to favorably remember Krishna, then we can see the other three things also. Are we carefully avoiding non-Krishna conscious association? Am I How is my relationship with the devotees? And am I enthusiastic to share Krishna with other unfortunate people who may not have access to Krishna Bhakti? So the other three, the second, third and fourth factors are very easily uh, can be evaluated. But the first factor can be evaluated through our evaluation of the next three factors. That's what here it is mentioned. Sangatyago vidurena bhagavad vimukair janair. How carefully are we trying to avoid non-Krishna conscious association? So this is very, very important limb. Shishyadi ananubanditvam. This is the 12th limb. Not being attached to making disciples. Meaning, not be attached to having many, many followers. And of course, this very basic element of bhakti, which is an absolutely important limb of bhakti, following this limb becomes a great threat because of the social media. In social media, actually everyone is concerned about how many followers do I have. So if a devotee also falls trap to this kind of an illusion, thinking that, I will have to have more and more followers, what should I do? And in trying to do that, a devotee who might use the social media to propagate, to popularize the path of bhakti, might end up using the social media to popularize himself. And the problem with that is that instead of speaking what devotees need to hear for progressing in Krishna consciousness, one might start diluting the principles and start presenting what people would like to hear. So this is where there is a great danger, even for devotees in today's day and age, in the day of social media. We have to be very careful that the platform is used for favorably popularizing Krishna and the path of Krishna Bhakti, rather than using it as a platform for increasing one's own popularity. This is a very important trap. So this is Shishyadi Ananubanditvam, not being attached to making disciples or followers. And another point is that sometimes, just in order to, this is from a generic point of view, from a more specific point of view as of accepting the role of a guru, if a guru accepts disciples, unqualified disciples, just so that he could have a huge number of disciples, then by giving diksha, what is mentioned is, as we saw yesterday, divyam jnanam yato dadyat kuryat papasya sankshayam. Papasya sankshayam, the destruction of sinful reactions, happens in the disciple. But where do all those sinful reactions go? Those sinful reactions have to be accepted and digested by the guru. So if the guru is not advanced enough and he accepts unlimited number of disciples, even though they may not be sufficiently qualified to accept diksha, then it creates lot of problems in the progress of that guru's spiritual life. So therefore one should be very careful in accepting disciples. Prabhupada did accept disciples who are not yet ready to accept, to become disciples, but that was for the purpose of spreading the movement, because those were the initial days. And of course Prabhupada was a very exalted personality. But subsequently, if you see, in today's ISKCON, the gurus have much more stricter standards in accepting disciples. So no one can just like that become a disciple. It takes a very long time. There is a long waiting period. There are very stricter standards. And this is needed. Shishyadi ananubandhitvam, not being attached to making disciples, very important limb. Maha arambadi anudyamaha, not being enthusiastic for huge undertakings. Of course, to build a temple for the Supreme Lord is a very valid undertaking. So this limb is talking about non-Krishna conscious undertakings. One should not be too enthusiastic to build big things or manage big things not connected to Krishna. If it is connected to Krishna, then one could do it. The same Rupa Goswami who is writing this limb, he was the one who built one of the biggest temples at that time in the whole of India, actually, Radha Govind temple. Later, Aurangzeb, unable to tolerate the existence of such a huge building, came and demolished it, most of it. But Rupa Goswami himself engaged in Maha Aramba, such a huge undertaking, but it was for glorifying his worshipable Lord Govinda. So therefore, this 13th limb indicates non-Krishna conscious undertakings. 14th, Bahugrantha Kalabhyasa Vyakya Vada Vivarjanam. One should avoid the study of useless books in order to earn a living or to defeat others in useless arguments, or for any other reason, whatever may be the reason. One should not be over enthusiastic to read useless books. Useless books means non-Krishna conscious books. But one should be very eager to read books related to Krishna consciousness. And even within that, one should be very careful in choosing those books that suit their level of development in Krishna Bhakti. So one cannot pick up, one may be struggling with very gross anarthas, and one should not think, I can read books like Gita Govinda or Ujjvala Neelamani and books like that, which are like talking about very exalted subject matters. So there is hearing is a science. Hearing or reading is a science. And our acharyas have very beautifully presented this science of hearing. How do we understand our level of Krishna consciousness? So we are parallelly, some of you might be aware, we are parallelly offering another course which is called as Self-Evaluation Tools on the Path of Bhakti, which is based on the book Madhurya Kadambini. In that book we discuss how do you evaluate your level of development in Bhakti. Are you at the stage of Anartha Nivritti, or have you reached the stage of Nishtha, or have you reached the stage of Ruchi or Asakti or Bhava or Prema? How do we evaluate? What are the symptoms? How do you move from one stage to another stage? These themes we are discussing elaborately in that other in that other course. So once you understand that our own level of devotional development, then there are books which are prescribed for that particular level of development. What kind of books we can read, what kind of books we cannot read, what kind of topics we can hear about, what kind of topics we cannot digest at that level. It's all a science, and it has been very beautifully presented by our acharyas. So Bahugrantha Kalabhyasa Vyakya Vada Vivarjanam. One should not be very much attached to studying too many books. So once there was a Brahmana by the name Tapan Mishra. He was staying in Bangladesh at that time. And once when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu he went to Bangladesh for the purpose of teaching. At that time, Bangladesh was a part of India. And this Tapan Mishra had been reading unlimited number of books from various philosophies, trying to understand what is the goal of life. And after reading all these books, he was thoroughly confused. He could not come to a proper understanding. And with great anxiety, he approached Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he had come to Bangladesh, expressing his desire, "My dear Lord, can you please tell me what is the ultimate goal of life?" And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu guides him on the path of Krishna Bhakti, and actually secretly reveals to him that he is actually Krishna himself. He becomes so joyful, and then he gives him an instruction: no longer continue to read all these various kinds of useless books. Study only Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam pramanamamalam prema pumarto mahan. These were the teachings. This is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught secretly to Tapan Mishra. And he said, now you go to Varanasi and stay there. Later, few years later, I will come and spend time with you there in Varanasi. Like that. So, therefore, one should not be interested in studying too many books just for the purpose of getting some knowledge. One should rather be eager to read those books which have been prescribed in our Guru Sishya Parampara according to our level of devotional development. So this is the 14th limb, Bahugrantha Kalabhyasa Vyakyavada Vivarjanam. 15th is Vyavahare api Akarpanyam. Not feeling miserable in material circumstances. Vyavahar, which means on the platform of material transactions. Akarpanyam, one should not feel very miserable, because a devotee sees that every situation that I am in, Krishna has personally put me in this situation so that I can learn valuable lessons which will take me one step closer to Krishna's feet. So rather than becoming very miserable in such situations, or feeling very miserable, or lamenting one's situation, one should learn to see Krishna's hands. Tattenu kampam susamikshamano bunjana evatma kritam vipakam hrid vag vapurbir vidadan namaste jivetayo mukti pade sadaya bak. Brahmaji mentions in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Tatte anukampam susamikshamano. So a devotee, how does a devotee avoid feeling miserable in material circumstances? That situation, te anukampam susamikshamano. Ikshamano means to see. Samikshamano means samyag ikshamano, to perfectly see. Su samikshamano, it has two prefixes, su and sam, both mean the same. Su means perfectly, sam means completely, because he is perfectly, completely able to see that particular situation as te anukampa, as your mercy. Krishna has put me in this situation out of his causeless mercy. Bhunjana eva atmakritam vipakam, and he accepts whatever reversals that may come during that situation. He accepts, I have done something wrong and Krishna is putting me in this situation to learn a valuable lesson. He knows this. That is the meaning of susamikshamano. He has no doubt. Bhunjana eva atmakritam vipakam. He accepts and undergoes whatever suffering that comes, as I must have done something wrong and Krishna is just giving me a token response to this. Actually, many times our lamentation is not due to the circumstance. Our lamentation is mostly due to a serious interplay of that particular circumstance and our own expectation from that circumstance. Like for example, there could have been two people who scored 50 out of 100 in mathematics. One person could be miserable, another person could be ecstatic. Because that one person who is miserable, he might have been expecting 75, 80 marks. And the other person who is ecstatic was fearing that he would fail the exam. So both persons have been put into the same situation. One is ecstatic, another is very miserable. It is because of the mismatch of the expectations that the person is lamenting. And in the second case, it was over delivery. He was sure, I would definitely fail in this exam. So like we have one of the devotees who, of course it was an unfortunate case. After he wrote the maths exam, he was sure that he would fail. So maths exam was the last but one exam. The last exam was science. And he was pretty good at science. And after he wrote the maths exam, he was sure that he would fail, that he didn't go to write the science exam only. He was so dejected. He said, anyway I am going to fail. Why should I bother to write the science exam? Eventually the result came and he passed in the maths exam actually. So there was like a mismatch of expectations. Whereas this person, he is seeing Bunjana eva atmakritam vipakam. Actually I deserve worst, but Krishna is giving me only a small token of punishment. So therefore, what is his response? Hrid vag vapurbir vidadan namaste. He is constantly offering his gratitude through his heart, through his words, and through his body, offering constant obeisances. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Krishna, thank you, Krishna. And why are you thanking him so much? You are suffering so much. What are you thanking him for? He says, Tattenu kampam susamikshamano. He is seeing that Krishna's mercy. I deserve worst. Krishna is so merciful that he is putting me through just a small token suffering, and that too not to make me suffer but pull me closer to his lotus feet. How merciful he would be. So this, rather than creating misery, it creates a sense of gratitude in the heart of the devotee. So therefore he is constantly offering obeisances. Hrid vag vapurbir. Using his heart, using his words, using his body, he is constantly offering obeisances. What about this person? Brahmaji says, Jiveta yo mukti padesa dhayabak. He becomes the rightful heir. He becomes the most qualified person to attain the lotus feet of Krishna. Mukti pade. Mukti pade means the path of mukti. But what is mukti? Moksham Vishmangri labam tadamala bhajanam tasya hetum. Moksham Vishmangri labam. What is moksha? Vishnu Angri labam. Attaining the lotus feet of Vishnu is moksha. Tadamala bhajanam tasya hetum. And the means of attaining that lotus feet of Krishna is unalloyed devotional service unto him. Ananya bhakti. So therefore he is telling here, Vyavahare api akarpanyam. The reason for that person not feeling miserable, rather he feels grateful because he is able to see Krishna's hands. At least he is convinced, my suffering is personally given by Krishna. Just like a father might sometimes give sweets to his child. And after some time, when the father sees some symptoms of some worms within the stomach of the child, he will give him some neem juice to do some deworming. Like my father used to do deworming for every once in a while to his children. So even though the child likes to get the sweets and the child hates to drink that bitter neem juice, but still he has full trust in the benevolence of his father. Even though the father gives neem juice, he does not like, but he does not curse his father. He does not criticize his father. He has full trust in his father's benevolence. Therefore, unwillingly but with full trust, he drinks that neem juice also. In the same way, the devotee has full trust in the benevolence of Krishna, and he has full trust in the omnipotence of Krishna. Krishna is under full control, and that Krishna who is under full control is the most kind-hearted person. So he has that trust, and that trust makes him approach this situation of seeming material misery with lot of grace and gratitude. This is vyavahare api akarpanyam, and this is, so it is a science. He is not, the devotee is not making any mental adjustments here. That is why the word su samikshamano is used. He knows perfectly well that Krishna is controlling my life. Ananyas chintayanto mam yejana paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. Krishna is carrying what I lack, and he is protecting what I already have. That trust the devotee has, and that trust is what makes him feel grateful rather than miserable in trying situations. Therefore, the advancement of a devotee can be judged based on how gracefully he deals with reversals in life. So that needs the kind of vision to see Krishna's hands. Like Srila Prabhupada used to say, the greatness of a person can be estimated based on how he responds to provoking situations. So when he sees Krishna's hands in provoking situations, he responds in the most graceful, grateful way. And that indicates the level of advancement of that particular devotee. That is the meaning of vyavahare api akarpanyam. Not feeling miserable in any material circumstances because he sees the hands of Krishna. Then, the 16th limb is shokadi avashavartita. Not being subject to lamentation or extreme emotions. Similar, but slightly different. On the 15th, he is not feeling miserable because he is seeing Krishna's hands. But despite that, because of our attachments, extreme emotions will pound our heart. But we should understand that, look, I know I am feeling extremely miserable or extremely elated or extremely anxious. There could be many different kinds of extreme emotions. Anxiety is one extreme emotion. Misery is one extreme emotion. Elation, joy is another extreme emotion. So one should understand that during extreme emotions, it's very difficult to remember Krishna. So understanding our goal, that remembrance of Krishna is my goal. Smartavya satatam Vishnor vismartavyo na jatuchit. Sarve vidhi nishedhyasyor etayoreva kinkara. Smartavya satatam Vishnu. Always one should remember Krishna, and vismartavyo na jatuchit, and one should never forget Krishna. Sarve vidhi nishedhyasyor etayoreva kinkara. All the other rules and regulations, the do's and don'ts, are subservient to this one rule of always remember Krishna and never forget him. So understanding the value of remembering Krishna, that person, even though the devotee may be put into a situation where there is a chance of getting the pendulum swinging towards an extreme emotion, he understands that I will lose my remembrance of Krishna. Therefore, Krishna, please help me not succumb to this extreme emotion of joy, to this extreme emotion of despair, to this extreme emotion of anxiety, so that I will not lose remembrance of you. This is what all the devotees ask for. Srila King Kulashekar also asked for the same thing. Avismriti Avismrititvaccharanararavinde bhave bhave me astu bhavat prasadat. Naham vande tavacharanayor dvandva madvandva hetoho kumbhipakam gurumapi hare narakam napanetum ramya rama mridutanulata nandane napirantum bhave bhave hridaya bhavane bhavayeyam bhavantam. Of course, that's a different verse. But in another verse he says, Avismrititvaccharanararavinde bhave bhave me astu bhavat prasadat. Somehow or other, my dear Krishna, I should never forget you. And one of the main reasons for forgetting Krishna is succumbing to extreme emotions. Therefore, a devotee is careful that whenever he is put into a situation where he might get pushed to an extreme emotion, he tries to compose himself. This is the 16th limb. Anya Devan Avagya, this is the 17th limb. Even though one understands that bhakti is Anyabilashita Shunyam Jnana Karma Dhyanavratam Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam, where it is not diverted by Karma Jnana Yoga and it should not be diverted by worship of demigods also. But at the same time, a devotee understands that the demigods are personally appointed administrators in the kingdom of God. So, Krishna has appointed them to administer this whole material universe. So, therefore, they are very exalted people. One should not be very disrespectful towards them. One should be very, very respectful towards them. And also, considering that they are all devotees of the Lord, that is additional reason to be respectful. 18th limb, Bhuta Anudvega Daita, not giving disturbance to other living entities. So, because this will eventually extrapolate to giving trouble to the devotees also. So therefore, as we saw because two parallel courses are going on, I am not able to exactly recollect where I spoke what. So it was in the other self-evaluation tools on the path of bhakti. In that course we were discussing how a culture of respect towards all living entities is the best vaccine, is the best way to immunize ourselves from the offense of Vaishnava Ninda. Because if we do not have a general, courteous, respectful nature towards all the living entities, then there is a very good chance that when we come in touch with devotees also, that nature will not go away easily. That is why it is mentioned Swabhavo Duratikrama. It is very difficult to overcome one's Swabhava. So therefore, but Swabhava can be nurtured and cultivated. So therefore, one should nurture and cultivate a favorable Swabhava, so that when we are put in trying situations, when we are cornered, that which is in will naturally come out. And if we have cultured and cultivated a favorable Swabhava, that's what will come out. So therefore, cultivating a culture of respect towards all living entities is the best way to immunize ourselves from Vaishnava Ninda or Vaishnava Parad. That is Bhuta Anudvega Daita, not giving disturbance to other living beings. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in great humility, he writes in this bhajan, Amar Jivan Sada Pape Rata, Naiko Punyera Lesha, Parere Udvega Diyachi Yekoto, Diyachi Jivera Klesha. He says, my dear Lord, how I have wasted my life. Throughout my life, I have given only anxiety to other people. Anxiety and trouble to other living entities characterizes my whole existence. So therefore, one should be very careful as to how our behavior is putting others, is making others feel? Are we creating an uncomfortable situation for others, or are we making them feel more comfortable, joyful, and grateful? We have to evaluate. So this is a devotee has to be conscious of this. That is why it is mentioned in one of the 64 limbs. Be conscious of your actions not causing disturbance and troubles to others. 19th, Seva Nama Aparadhanam Udbhava Abhava Karita. Being very careful to avoid the Seva Aparads and the Nama Aparads. So the Nama Aparads are 10 in number, which are very serious aparads, and Seva Aparads are like many in number, but there are some fixed number of Seva Aparads mentioned in Padma Puran, Varaha Puran. Some talk about 32, about. Then other Puranas talk about 40 odd Seva Aparads and so on. Offenses which one could inadvertently commit while performing deity worship or dealing with people. All those things are mentioned. So when we reach there, we will try to discuss that. Aparada. So aparada means that which turns our face away from Krishna. Like that. Krishna tad bhakta vidvesha vinindadi asahishnuta. Krishna tad bhakta vidvesha vinindadi asahishnuta. Asahishnuta, not tolerating what vininda, vidvesha, vininda adi. Not tolerating the criticism of Krishna tad bhakta, of Krishna or his devotees by those who hate them. Vidvesha, by those who have hatred for Krishna, and one should not tolerate. So there are 3 ways of responding to criticism of Krishna or his devotees. The first is to not hear them only, just run away from that place. Or if we happen to hear, we should be able to thoroughly present opposing arguments to disprove whatever criticism has been laid on Krishna or his devotees. Or if possible, we should cut the tongue of that person who is criticizing Krishna or his devotees. We don't have to try that. We will be behind bars. But we could try running away from that place. We could try defending Krishna and his devotees. Or worst case, this also you should not be trying. If you happen to hear the criticism of devotees and you are not able to respond, you are not able to run away, it is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, one should commit suicide. Of course, don't do that. It is easier to run away from that place, or if you think you are capable, try to defend the devotees and Krishna. Don't try the other 2 options. Don't try to cut his tongue or commit suicide. That's not. These are indicated to, these are mentioned to indicate how serious it is to hear the criticism of Krishna or his devotees. It can completely pollute one's heart. It can completely degrade one's consciousness and make one develop feelings which are completely unfavorable for one's progress in devotional service. So in this way, these are the 10 don'ts. So I'll quickly recap the 10 don'ts. Sangatyago vidurena bhagavad vimukair janaihi. Being very careful to give up the association of those opposed to the Lord, to circumstances opposed to the Lord, to people opposed to the Lord, like that. Shishyadi ananubandhitvam, not being attached to making many unqualified disciples just to increase the number. Third, not being attached to huge undertakings which are not connected to Krishna Bhakti. Maha Arambadi Anudyama. Fourth, Bahugrantha Kalabhyasa Vyakyavada Vivarjanam. Reading too many useless books just for the purpose of making a living or to defeat someone in some useless arguments. Fifth, vyavahare api akarpanyam, not feeling miserable in material circumstances due to having developed a firm trust in Krishna's benevolence and protection. 16th or 6th, shokadi avashavartita, being careful not to drift into the zone of extreme emotions, having understood that it would cause trouble in my remembrance of Krishna. Anya devan avagya, not being disrespectful to the other demigods. Bhuta anudvega daita, not giving disturbance to other living entities. Seva nama aparadhanam udbhava abhava karita, avoiding seva aparads and nama aparads. And finally, Krishna tad bhakta vidvesha vinindadi asahishnuta, being not tolerating the criticism of Krishna or his devotees by those who hate them. And as we saw, there are 4 ways of responding: either run away from that place, cut that person's tongue, or present very fitting arguments to defeat that criticism, or commit suicide. In these 4 ways. Essentially, the point is one should not tolerate hearing criticism of Krishna or his devotees. In this way, these 20 limbs, the first 10 do's and the next 10 don'ts, are considered to be the door to bhakti. These 20 limbs are non-negotiable limbs. They cannot be compromised under any circumstances. Like, for example, is there any circumstance under which I can hear criticism of devotees? No. One may say, oh, I am a manager, I have to take care of the temple, I have to manage people. So if someone is doing something wrong, I will have to hear about it. Yes, we can hear about if we can contribute to a positive change in the situation. If it would put other devotees into comfort, if it would comfort the other devotees, if it would favorably rectify the person who is committing that offense, then under such circumstances, with great caution, one can hear. But otherwise not. Is there under any circumstance I can perform seva aparad or nama aparad? No. Because nama aparad is committed with a malicious heart. So we should, under no circumstances we should commit it. And knowingly we cannot commit seva aparad also, then it becomes nama aparad. Is there any circumstance under which I can give disturbance to other living being? As minimal as possible. One should not, in Bhagavatam it says, nati himsrena, about talking about the lifestyle of a devotee, it is mentioned na ati himsrena. Na ati himsrena means a devotee should live his life without committing too much violence towards other living entities, which means he can cut some vegetables and fruits or some leaves from the plant. That is also considered violence, but that is minimal. It is not overdoing. But if you kill an animal for just satisfying our palate and belly, then that is when we could be satisfied by eating some vegetables and fruits. If we are killing an animal just for satisfying our tongue and belly, then it is ati himsa. The Shastra says, na ati himsrena. Himsa you cannot avoid, but as far as possible, try to keep it minimal. That is what it means. Is there any circumstance under which we can offend a devata? No, why should we offend a devata? Shokadi avashavartita. As far as possible, we should try under all circumstances to not let our consciousness swing towards extreme emotions. Similarly, not feeling miserable. All these limbs have to be followed, or one should at least endeavor to follow. So the first 20 are critical, non-negotiable limbs. The next 44, of which 39 can be negotiated. There is a scope for negotiation. in the situation where there is a primary limb and a secondary limb and you can perform only one of them, you can sacrifice the secondary limb and perform the primary limb. That is allowed. But otherwise, these first 20 limbs are non-negotiable and they have to be performed. Now, we will try to read. He says, Vyatirekataya amisham dashanam syad anushtitihi. These 10 angas should be observed by avoidance. Vyatirekataya means by avoidance. We should follow these 10 limbs. So, Srila Rupa Goswami says, these 20 angas serve as the door for entering bhakti. The first 3 angas, Adav Guru Padashraya, Shri Krishna Dikshadi Sikshanam, and Vishrambena Gurur Seva. Accepting the shelter of a Guru's lotus feet, accepting Shiksha and Diksha from him, and serving him respectfully. These 3 limbs are said to be the principal ones. Now, let's quickly go over the next 44 limbs, which are very vital limbs also. Marking the body with the Vaishnava symbols. The Vaishnava symbols vary from sampradaya to sampradaya, but essentially most sampradayas accept a shankha and a chakra. This is called as we saw the other day, Tapa Pundrat Tatanama Yago Mantrascha Panchama. The 5 Pancha Samskar, one receives these 5 samskaras during the time of initiation, and one of that is Tapa, to accept the symbol of Shankha and Chakra on one's shoulders, to indicate that now this body and soul is surrendered to Krishna and it will be utilized only in the service of Krishna and not otherwise. That is what is the meaning of accepting the Shankha and Chakra on one's shoulders. Second, marking the body with the syllables of the Lord's name. Sometimes, you with tilak, after applying tilak on the 12 places in our body, we may write Shri Radha or Shri Krishna on our chest. One may write. That is a bona fide limb of bhakti. It is called as Harinama Dharanam. Accepting the Harinama Akshara, the names of the Supreme Lord in one's body. That is a very bona fide way. This is with tilak, not necessarily with tattoo, permanently. Some people have a tilak also made out of tattoo, so that they don't have to everyday apply tilak. So they have marked their 12 places with tattoo. But of course, Gopi Chandan is very auspicious. So even if we may have a tattoo, we should ensure that on top of that tattoo we apply Gopi Chandan. Wearing the garlands, flowers and sandalwood offered to the deity. In the 11th canto it is mentioned, Tvayopabhukta sragganda vasa lankara charchita uchishta bojino dasas tavamayam jayemahi. It is mentioned. Tvaya upabhukta srag ganda. So Uddhava is telling Krishna that Tvaya upabhukta, that which has been enjoyed by you. What are the things that you enjoy? Srag, a garland. Gandha, some fragrant oils. Vasa, some clothes. Alankara charchita, and other ornaments and ointments that may be used for beautifying you. And uchishta, your remnants offered to the deities. Bhojino dasas, one who accepts these various things, tava mayam jayemahi, just by merely accepting the remnants, smelling the fragrant oil offered to you, honoring the prasadam offered to you, your devotees, just by these simple activities, actually escape Maya, the influence of illusory energy, like that. Dancing before the deity is a very important limb. So one should dance in front of the deity for the pleasure of the deities. When the Apsaras can dance for the pleasure of Indra, why can't devotees dance for the pleasure of Krishna? Krishna loves, because he sees the dancing of the devotee as an expression of joy of the devotee in having the darshan of the Supreme Lord. This is natural. When someone feels joyful, one naturally wants to dance. So therefore, dancing in front of the deities is a bona fide limb of bhakti. That makes the Lord joyful, because when he sees that the devotee is expressing his joy through the form of dancing, he feels very joyful. Offering respects on the ground. We have Shashtanga Pranam and Panchanga Pranam for the male and female, for the Prabhujis and Matajis. The Shashtanga Pranam is all the 8 limbs, and the Panchanga Pranam, the 5 limbs. So offering obeisances is a very important limb actually. Actually, this may be neglected, but the Shad Goswamis, the 6 Goswamis, our foremost acharyas in our Guru Shishya Parampara, they used to, just like counting the holy names that we chant, they used to count the number of obeisances that they offer to the Supreme Lord and his devotees. So you count. So counting is not something mundane. You count something which you value. You don't count the number of pairs of slippers that is outside your house. But the money that is there in our treasury, that we count very carefully, because that money is very valuable. Similarly, everyone counts something which he finds, which he considers very, very valuable. So in today's day and age, people count the number of likes. That is what they value. So how many number of likes? Keep the likes maximum and the dislikes minimum. But the Goswamis used to count the number of obeisances that they used to offer. Dandavat Pranam. Sankhya Purvaka Namagana Natibi Kalavasani Kritau Nidrahara Viharakadi Vijitau Chatyanta Jinau Chayau. It is mentioned about the 6 Goswamis. Sankhya Purvaka Namagana Natibihi. Sankhya Purvaka. Namagana and Natibihi. These 2 things they used to very carefully count. Did I complete my quota of rounds? Did I chant 1 lakh Harinam, 2 lakh Harinams, 3 lakh Harinams? Did I, for the day, did I offer 1000 obeisances today? In this way, Sankhya Purvaka Namagana Natibihi Kalavasani Kritau. Like that it is mentioned. Rising up to see the Lord. When the Lord comes in his palanquin, or when we go to take darshan of the Lord, we have to immediately stand up and receive the Lord. Just like when any important, respectable person comes, we immediately get up to receive that person. So it is all the more important to receive the most important person in this whole. I cannot say material creation, because the Supreme Lord is not a product of material creation. And he is not created also. The most important person in anyone's life is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So therefore, when he comes, we should naturally get up. And Krishna is so merciful that if you get up, which is natural for anyone, he rewards you for getting up. I will consider this as an anga of bhakti. When you get up, I will consider you are a great devotee and I will reward you for that. How much energy does it take to get up to receive a person? Nothing. but Krishna is willing to reward a person for that. See, while we are discussing these various limbs, it may seem like these are very, very simple things, very easy to perform. How can these be considered as limbs of bhakti? But in this day and age, to render these simple limbs with faith, having full faith that just by standing to receive the Supreme Lord, I am going to get His causeless mercy. How much we can have trust and faith in that. Because faith is the only empowering factor. Any limb of bhakti or any activity, when performed without faith, has no potency. Ashraddaya hutam dattam tapastaptam kritam chayat asaditi uchyate partha nachatat pretyanoiha. Yesterday also we saw this verse. Any activity of devotional service or any sacrifice or charity or austerity, when performed without faith, is as good as not performing that activity, because it has no power. It is like trying to start the ignition of a car which has no petrol. So it cannot run. Similarly, our devotional service runs on faith. So we may think that these limbs are very easy, but to perform them physically is easy, but to muster that kind of faith that can empower that limb, that is difficult. And that comes by sufficiently hearing about the glories of these limbs and seeing other exalted devotees performing these simple limbs with great faith and affection for the Supreme Lord. So if we can enhance our faith, even simple activities can give unimaginable benefits actually. So rising up to see the Lord, very simple thing, but one has to perform it with faith. Following behind the Lord's procession. So when the Lord's procession is moving, to follow behind that Lord's procession is one of the limbs of bhakti. See, to get up, for that also Krishna gives benefit. Okay, you are a devotee. And then the procession is going, you go behind the procession. Oh, you are a more sincere devotee, I will give you more benefit. And just following the Lord, you go and then you reach the temple of the Lord, going to the Lord's residence. That is another limb. Krishna gives additional benefit for that. See how easy it is. First thing, the Lord comes to you, you get up, one limb of bhakti is performed. In 1 second, one limb of bhakti is performed. Then you follow the procession for a few minutes, another limb is performed. Following the procession, you enter the temple, the third limb is performed. Then having come to the temple, you decide, oh, let me do some pradakshina of the temple, circumambulation. You will do 2 or 3 pradakshina. Krishna says, you are really wonderful, you have performed the 4th limb of bhakti. So we don't have to do complex asanas to please the Lord. Anyway, even after prasadam, in order to, in Marathi they call it Shatapauli, walk 100 steps after eating, it's considered to be very healthy. So in the same way, one may want to walk those 100 steps circumambulating the temple of the Lord. So that is considered as a great, as one of the limbs of the Supreme Person, of bhakti. And then performing archana, that is another limb. Worshipping the deities personally. So in this way, we have seen the first 20 limbs and the next 10 limbs, about 30 limbs we have seen. We have another 34 limbs to cover. So we will cover this tomorrow, and in the subsequent days we will continue with these 64 limbs, and we will also see proofs for these limbs, beautiful verses glorifying these limbs. We can bathe ourselves hearing, if possible remembering, and if possible chanting these verses, so that we always keep remembering the glories of these particular limbs of devotional service. So I thank you very much for your patient listening. So hoping to have your association tomorrow also. शिला प्रभुपाद की जय, शिला रूप गोस्वामी पाद की जय, भक्ति रसामृत सिंधु की जय. हरे कृष्ण.